Hello and welcome back to my classic movie reviews. If this is your first one, then you'll recognize this film possibly as a bona fide classic that's widely recognized. Not all the films I'm going through are sort of necessarily commercially recognized or recognized by critics particularly, but they're, in my opinion, classic films. And this one happens to be one that won 5 Academy Awards at the time and is still greatly remembered as one of the best American films ever made. Strangely, it's not really available very widely. Maybe that's because they want people to buy the DVD or the Blu-ray, or buy it as a download, or it may be also the fact that it's actually a very disturbing anti-war film, and certainly it might put you off sort of romantic ideas you have about war. It's kind of sort of like the antithesis of Top Gun and films like that. It really is. It's certainly doesn't glamorize war in any shape or form, although the actual segment of war is actually quite short in the film. This came out in 1978. It was directed by Michael Cimino, who had some previous writing successes with Magnum Force in particular. I think he had a couple other successes. I think he was involved in The Outlaw Josie Wales and Silent Running as well, which were all successful films. But this is actually the only film that he directed that was a big success. Everything he did afterwards was a bit of a miserable failure, unfortunately, so he wasn't able to repeat the formula, sadly. Anyway, this film had an amazing cast of actors who were all quite young at the time, and some of them went on to become super famous. So I suppose it's an ensemble film really, but the lead, I suppose, is Robert De Niro, who's pretty young in it. And the main story really is about a bunch of wild young guys. They're having a bit of a blast when they're not working in the steelworks in Pennsylvania, which is, a tough, pretty horrible job. The first hour or so centers around a young guy called Stevie, who's getting married to Angela, and his friends. There's a lot of drinking. There's a big wedding. Anyway, I won't tell you too much about the plot, but the first part of the film is really establishing the relationships between the different characters. And sort of, I suppose, is typical for those times. The men are a bit macho, and they don't talk about how they feel about stuff. They like to go out drinking and having a laugh, and when they're not, working in this horrible inferno of a steel mill. And then it just rapidly shifts to Vietnam. So you're aware at the beginning of the film that they're going to be going off at some point soon. So this tracks what happens to 3 guys in particular. I'm not going to tell you what happens, but it's pretty grim. It's pretty grim, and then it follows the aftermath of the end of the Vietnam War and what's going on after that, both in Vietnam itself and back in Pittsburgh. Really, the story is not really about war. It's such there is a bit of hunting as well, which is somewhat symbolic. one of the guys who had been like super duper hunter, when he's faced after in his return with shooting a buck, he just shoots over its head. So there's a lot of subtle themes in this, and really it's about the horrific, damaging impact that war has on communities. So you have the three main protagonists who actually go off in Vietnam, but the effects on them are fairly brutal. And then you see through the relationships with their friends and partners, lovers, parents, how it just absolutely destroys this community. And they're trying to carry on with normal life, but of course nothing is ever going to be normal again after what these people have endured. And that's what's really, really powerfully communicated in this film, which in a way that a lot of war films fail to do so. So I really think it deserved those Academy Awards. It's a very long film. It's 4 minutes under 3 hours. So, it takes a long, long time to tell its story. And like, if you're looking for a big, war epic with lots of shooting and battle scenes, you're going to be disappointed because you have to wait over an hour before the story shifts to Vietnam. But this is really a study of human suffering and human endurance, and people trying to carry on and move on with their lives in the aftermath of horrific, traumatizing situations. So, it has some hopeful elements to it, but is also very tragic, and it doesn't pull any punches in terms of actually revealing the absolute devastation that war has on families and communities. So I could see why it wouldn't be very popular in jingoistic sort of war, saber-rattling times when people are being pushed towards conflicts, pushed towards sort of joining the army, or there's all talk about conscription or whatever going on. At such times, a film like this would be deeply unpopular and would not be promoted by the powers that would be. But I think, just like much earlier films, like All's Quiet on the Western Front, it has a powerful message, which just shows you the pointlessness of it all. So here it is, my copy on DVD, which also has a running commentary in the bonus features from the director, which I haven't actually listened to that yet, but if you're really interested in this film, that might be something worth watching and listening to as well. This is a lot more about the relationships between people and how it's affected by war. So I would say, if you haven't seen this and you're interested in something that's a bit more cerebral rather than sort of just flashbang wallop explosions, then you might really enjoy this film. It certainly had a powerful emotional impact on me. I've seen it before, but watching it again now for the second time, really, really hit me emotionally. I was just I found it quite upsetting, actually, and very moving. And I think that's, in part due to the great performances you've got, as well as Robert De Niro. You've got Meryl Streep, Christopher Walken, John Savage, and John Cazale. So, and a few other supporting actors and actresses too. But they all gave like really amazing, maybe slightly understated performances, but there's a lot of space there. There's a lot of things which are expressed without words, just in looks and body language and things. And they all did this really superbly, I have to say. So yeah, it's a very powerful film. Yeah, it might be one where you want to have a box of tissues to hand. Possibly, it's not. It's not going to be explosions and millions of machine guns and aircraft buzzing by. It's a lot more personal than that. So it's a war film, but in a way you could say it's not really a war film at all. So that's it. I think I've said enough. Go and watch it if you're interested. I don't think you'll be disappointed. So thanks for watching, and please give a thumbs up if you liked what I had to say. Bye for now.